She opened her door in the middle of the day to someone she likely knew, or thought she knew. Minutes later, she lay dead in a pool of her own blood, partly undressed, her throat cut so deeply it nearly severed her head. The question isn't just who killed Dr. Sophie Berkmans, it's why, and why did it take 6 years to find him? Welcome to Espresso Crime. I'm Francois, your host, lawyer by profession and true crime investigator by passion. Join me as we uncover the story of the murder of Dr. Sophie Berkmans. Oh, and small favor, can I embarrass myself and ask you to like and subscribe? You see, the algorithms got it in for me. Every video takes days to make. The research, the writing, the pacing, it's a labor of love. And yes, I have a full-time job, which means that most nights I'm squinting transcript at 1 a.m. The truth is that right now the only thing that's getting murdered is my view count. Anyway, see what you can do. Many thanks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Espresso Crime.
Today, our story begins in the northern French town of Valenciennes, called the Athens of the North, owing to the number of great artists it produced over the centuries. It's Monday the 7th of October 2002. The air begins to chill. The streets are quiet, the leaves just beginning to turn. Dr. Sophie Berkmans, a respected rheumatologist, is due at work. But there is a problem. When her secretary arrives that morning, the office is dark. She knocks at the door of number 1 Rue Carnot, the address of Sophie's modest apartment and medical office. No reply to the bell, no answer on the phone. This is unlike Sophie, known for her punctuality. Her secretary grows uneasy and begins calling around, including mother, Suzanne, who lives just 6 miles away and has keys to her daughter's home. She arrives promptly. Both women enter the home immediately, noticing the trail of blood leading to the consultation room. The secretary enters the room first, her worry mounting with each passing moment. What she sees inside freezes her breath. She rushes out, pale as paper. "Don't go in," she warns Suzanne. "Don't look." But Suzanne does. Of course she does, and in that moment her world collapses. There in a pool of blood lies her child, Sophie, her face mangled by repeated blows, her throat cut so deeply it is nearly severed. She has been bludgeoned, strangled, mutilated. Her underwear has been pulled down to her ankle. Suzanne screams in disbelief. "What is this? What is this?" As her mind scrambles to catch up with the horror her eyes are witnessing. Sophie is dead. Brutally, grotesquely dead. Paramedics arrive quickly, but there is nothing they can do. The scene is one of unspeakable violence. The brutality seems obsessive. Detectives from Lille, a city flanking the Belgian border, arrive. The crime scene tells a story that doesn't align with robbery. Nothing is missing. No drawers are overturned. The pharmacy is untouched. The kitchen offers a scene of someone stopped in the middle of a lunch break. There are no signs of forced entry. The lock is intact. Sophie opened the door to her killer. Later examination will confirm if sexual assault was the motive. The assailant did not succeed. Forensic teams work methodically. They recover strands of hair, bits of vegetation, and something else. 2 broken fingernails embedded in blood. 1 earring lies on the floor, the other missing. The blood pools thickly, but offers no clear answers. Outside, news spreads. Reporters descend. The town begins to buzz with fear. A doctor, a woman, has been butchered in broad daylight. People remember Sophie as gentle, warm, and quietly devoted. She is known as the Doctor of Misery, caring for the elderly, the poor, the forgotten. She is also called the Miracle Doctor because she was so good at her job. Her funeral draws hundreds. Patients, colleagues, strangers. A community grieving not just a death, but the theft of an amazing woman. Also, the week Sophie Berkmans is killed, France is already on edge, reeling from a string of violent attacks, each more senseless than the last. Just days before, a 17-year-old girl was burned alive in a housing estate in Vitry-sur-Seine, set alight by a boy she had argued with. When police arrive, they are attacked by a gang of youths believed to have taken part in the assault. An 18-year-old, badly burned, is arrested in a Paris hospital, under a false name. On the same evening, in Grande-Synthe, near Dunkirk, a man walks into a cafe frequented by North Africans and opens fire. A young man is killed. The shooter, a lorry driver, later admits the murder, saying he acted out of hatred for Arabs. Then, on Sunday, Paris Mayor Bertrand Delanoë is stabbed in the stomach during an all-night cultural event. His attacker, a man with psychiatric issues, explains he did it because he hates politicians and homosexuals. Delanoë survives, but barely. So by the time Sophie's body is found, the atmosphere is already charged. Her murder is the fourth brutal act in as many days. A wave of violence is sweeping through the country, and Sophie's death, as savage as it is inexplicable, becomes part of a growing national unease. Sophie Berkmans was born in 1961 in Kievrechin, a modest mining town 15 kilometers from Valenciennes. Her father worked as a skilled laborer. Her mother raised her 3 children, of which Sophie is the eldest. From the beginning, Sophie is serious, focused, not studious in the way of rote learners, but sharp, driven. She doesn't go out much. She prefers her books. At school, she excels quietly. She earns her baccalaureate in Valenciennes, then passes the medical school entrance exam on her first try. She studies medicine in Lille, completes her residency in Reims, and becomes a rheumatologist. No shortcuts, no family money, just perseverance and long hours. She opens her own practice, taking over no one's clientele, building from the ground up. She renovates an old space, invests everything. It's hard at first, but little by little, her reputation spreads. Sophie becomes known as the doctor who listens. She treats pensioners and former miners, people left behind by the system. Her waiting room is always full, but no one feels rushed. She is thorough, gentle, a woman of discipline and quiet conviction. Outside of medicine, her life is understated. She lives alone, keeps to herself. She hopes perhaps for a family one day. At 41, she is not bitter about it, just quietly aware of what time takes. Everything about her life is orderly, predictable. She works, she rests, she gives more than she takes, which makes the savagery of her death even harder to comprehend. The absence of forced entry suggests that Sophie let in her murderer because she knew him, and the savagery of the act suggests something personal. So the police, they turn their attention to a professor of economics named Rashid, who they find out was dating Sophie. When police arrive at his home, Rashid presents as calm and cooperative. He is not immediately told what he is accused of. Still, he does not protest. He agrees to answer questions. Problem is, from the moment officers knock, Rashid feels that he is treated as a suspect rather than a person of interest. He is handcuffed to a radiator while police ransacks his home, then told to confess to a crime he knows nothing about. He would later recount, "They told me that they know all about a method of slitting a throat from ear to ear called Algerian smile. I tell them I am Tunisian. I don't know what they are talking about." He claims he was teaching at a school in Hazebrook, some 7 miles away. When they finally tell him why he was being interrogated, he bursts out crying. In that instant, the police's certainty that they've got their man evaporates. Rashid's reactions are too sincere, his emotions too raw, and they are right. At the time his girlfriend was being butchered, he was teaching in class. His account is corroborated by students, colleagues, and surveillance logs. With Rashid cleared, attention turns to Sophie's patients. Could someone have held a grudge over a diagnosis? Police interview the elderly, the chronically ill, their families. They search for evidence of a grudge born out of a misdiagnosis. They find nothing. Sophie's record is spotless. Her patients adored her. Her reputation is unblemished. Time drifts, leads dry up. The case, it seems, is beginning to cool. Then comes a second killing. Just 3 weeks later, the body of a young student named Mariam Hissar is discovered in a ditch not far from Sophie's clinic. She has also been stabbed, also strangled. Her throat, like Sophie's, cut to the bone. Panic surges through Valenciennes. 2 women, both murdered with shocking violence within weeks of each other. Police move quickly. Mariam had posted a job ad to fund her studies. Her phone logs reveal multiple calls from the same payphone near Sophie's office. Surveillance leads them to a man named Tarba Buhala, a petty criminal with a disturbing past, and add to that a suspicious behavior since he fled to Algeria shortly after Mariam disappeared. When police question his girlfriend, more clues come in. She confesses to strange behavior like lying about his whereabouts and destroying clothing after the time Mariam was found. Another thing, upon hearing of the murder of Dr. Berkmans, Buhala had said something odd. "They'll blame me," he mutters, "because I'm Arab." More information emerges that convince the police Burala is also Sophie's killer. Firstly, Burala did 8 years for the rapes of 2 women, one of which was a pharmacist. Could this point to a fetish for women in white coats? Secondly, Burala used to hang around the Parc de la Ronelle facing Dr. Berkman's office. It is totally possible that he had spotted her before, and one day, unable to contain a deviant sexual impulse, would have passed himself as a patient and attempted to assault her. Thirdly, Burala, the police finds out, frequents wife-swapping clubs, and Dr. Berkmans, the police finds out, had spent time talking with strangers on the internet, something relatively new in 2002. The French police issue an international arrest warrant for Tarba Burala, who voluntarily returns to France to face the music. In the police station, he denies everything Burala. He confesses his involvement with Mariam's murder. Well, sort of, as he only says. What happened with Mariam and me are for me and God. There's no physical link between Buhala and Sophie's murder, none whatsoever. Dr. Berkmans' internet activity reveals a genuine interest in connecting with others who share her love for the arts, but no indication she frequented websites related to wife swapping, sexual encounters, or anything of that nature. As for Dr. Berkmans, he categorically denies any kind of involvement in her death. He is charged with Mariam's death, and the case of Sophie Berkmans once again drifts into darkness. January 2003 brings a breakthrough as lab results confirm that one of the fingernails found at Sophie's scene contains male DNA mixed with her blood. The profile is uploaded to the national database, but no match emerges. Years pass. Investigators chase shadows. A teenage suspect is brought in for assaulting an elderly woman. The initial lead is promising, but his DNA doesn't match. False hope and dead leads become characteristics of the case. Well, until that one day. On the 29th of January 2007, the police visit Annette Lober, a retired nurse living near the Parc de la Ronelle, just across from Sophie's old clinic. She tells them that earlier that day, she saw a man lingering near the park entrance, asking passers-by for change. His face stirred a memory. She explains that nearly 20 years earlier, the same man had come to her door, claiming to feel unwell. When she let him in, he exposed himself on the pretext of a skin condition he needed her to treat. He showed no aggression, so she never reported it. She hadn't thought much about it, until now. Seeing him again, so near to where Sophie Berkmans had opened her door to her killer, she began to wonder, what if Sophie encountered the same man? What if the story about the skin condition wasn't just a tactic from the past, but the same one used to cross her threshold? Her description is not much to go by, though. She remembers only a North African man, 5'7", around 50, possibly Tunisian. Over the next few months, the police scour shelters, soup kitchens, outreach programs. Nothing. The lead runs dry until February 2008. Advance in medical science enables the extraction of an unknown DNA on the clothing of Dr. Berkmans that had, until then, been unidentifiable. The DNA sample is placed on the national database and bingo, a match. His name is Mohamed Mediane, a 50-year-old man of Algerian descent of no fixed abode that had been arrested months prior for vandalizing cars. He drifts between shelters and cheap hotels. His record is troubling. Sexual assaults at the age of 23, for which he served 8 years. He had targeted these women at random, always using a knife. The police locate him in a budget hotel. They arrest him without incident. In the police car, a police officer can't help staring at his long, jagged fingernails that bear a chilling resemblance to the fragments found near Sophie's body. In his room, police uncover pages of erratic writing, random names of women, dates, women's names underlined and scratched out phrases like, buy a house. What do these mean? Fantasies? fragments of rage and obsession born out of an unfulfilled life, probably the psychologists say. Still, Mediane denies everything. I never met her, he insists. I've never been to her clinic. The DNA says otherwise. His fingernail, broken off and drenched in Sophie's blood, places him at the scene. What's more, in the police lineup, the former nurse recognizes categorically as the man who'd knocked on her door 20 years earlier. Mohamed Mediane is charged with murder. The trial begins on the 6th of December 2010. At its opening, a woman arrives in disguise, wig, glasses, trembling. She insists on speaking to the judge. She claims Mediane was hired by a jealous woman, seeking revenge for her husband's illicit affair. The judge halts proceedings for 7 months while the claims are investigated. The police find no corroboration in those claims, but learn that the mystery witness once claimed to have been stalked by a UFO. Very cute. In August 2011, the trial resumes. A good 7 months have been wasted. In court, Mediane remains stone-faced. He offers no confession, no remorse, nothing. That silence is not helpful to his defense, but in truth, their greatest challenge is how to explain the presence of 2 of his broken fingernails at the scene of the crime. Their hold my beer response is contamination. These fingernails must have been carried into the scene of the crime when they got stuck to the soles of police officers' shoes, just like one of the victim's earring that disappeared from the scene of the crime. 1 fingernail. Okay. But 2? Well, let's just say that Mediane was very unlucky. The prosecution ridicules the theory, and as for Mediane's silence, they don't care much for it. The motive, they say, is as dark as it is simple: control. The day after Sophie's murder, Mediane was due in court for a divorce hearing, a final, legal severing from the only woman he had ever married. He had lost his job, his home, his family. Beneath it all, prosecutors argue, was a deep, festering resentment toward women, towards rejection, towards female autonomy, towards the idea that a woman could say no to him and walk away. He turned his rage, a rage fueled by sexual impulse, into one act of savagery towards a woman at the wrong place, perhaps to fulfill a 20-year-old unfulfilled fantasy. The jury finds Mediane guilty of murder without much effort. He's sentenced to 30 years in prison, with 18 years of minimum security.
In the years that follow the verdict, Sophie's name has faded from the headlines. In Valenciennes, her whole clinic remains shuttered. Her name on the brass plate is no longer there. People still think of her, though, quietly, with a mix of reverence and sorrow. They remember a woman who had spent her life putting others back together, only to see it lost at the hand of a disturbed individual going through an existential crisis. What a waste. Mohamed Mediane, well, he's where he should be, in prison. His refusal to admit and seek forgiveness for what he did makes it hard to think of him with any kind of sympathy. Or am I being too harsh? I often wonder about that. When all is said and proven, why not confess? Why not give closure to the victims and maybe yourself? Maybe doing so would bring you closer to a feeling resembling shame. What do you think? Upon learning the news of his daughter's death, Sophie's father, he suffered a heart attack, and one that eventually killed him a few years later. Sophie's mother, she never recovered. Her brother threw himself into work, and her sister stopped speaking to journalists altogether. We wish them well. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Espresso Crime. Like and subscribe if you did. Until the next episode, take care of yourself and of each other.